while Renu has set a very good background to tell you where we are and where we are going to be in the year to come. Let me just give you more of a practitioner's perspective, and I would like to further prove him wrong that we are not that behind. We are even today doing a lot of cloud. Maybe you don't do all that fanfare. So before I go to that, to me, cloud computing is not only about the technology. It's a paradigm shift, the way we have been working so far. We've been doing we have spent our life doing internet and client server computing. Now suddenly you talk about the cloud. We've been always doing those physical servers. This is my server. Where is it there? That the belonging, that feeling over there. Suddenly you have all virtual machines. So it's not technology. This is a lot of mindset also which is supported. The whole procurement of the model of the government, which has been established over years and years, now needs a kind of a leapfrog change. That ICT procurement, from buying machines, giving 5 years contract, and then keeping it to now pay as you use. The whole model needs to be transformed. And above all, the management strategy. We always used to have servers, we used to have server admins, and there's these kind of set of people, highly skilled people, who used to manage these servers, and users have to be simply asking for services. So from where now you're talking about self-service, will become a fundamental ingredient of any cloud implementation. So it's more than what a technology is, and we need to perhaps address all those things if we really need a successful, a vibrant cloud working in the country, whether it is government or country as a whole. All these things you must have seen in many forums. Cloud has a lot of takeaways, a lot of positive things. But from government point of view, I've been working with government, working with these data centers for over 15 years now. To me, what is really important for the government from the cloud perspective? Well, cost and efficiency will all continue to be there, which is good. But what is unique with the government setup? First thing is, government applications by their basic nature are applications which get into peaks and surges at a periodic. They're pretty periodic. You look at the union budget. It's only 2 days in a year where there's a lot of load on that particular. You look at exam results. Each exam results only 2 days, 3 days. You look at any policy announcement. You look at tax filing. It's only a month or something where you have, or maybe the last day when you really need the bandwidth and systems to perform. So you really need a system wherein you have an elasticity where you could scale up or scale out or scale up your infrastructure for a specific time of a day, 2 day, or a month maybe, and then again get back to this. So this kind of elasticity, this kind of a scalability was earlier not so easy. It was there. We had all those load balancers, and we've been doing exam results for over, I'll tell you, for over now 15 years we've been doing almost all school exam results we do. And they are the applications which will always be the exam result one day. Everybody wants to see their result in 5 minutes. Nobody wants to wait beyond. So there is 1 lakh or 100,000 children, or sometimes 1,200,000 children. Everybody has to. So you need to cater to those 5 minutes. And in India, as you know, these results carry a lot of weightage, a lot of anxiety with parents, with children, and with schools as well. And it's really changed a lot. The whole system has, whole education and exam results system. Today, almost every school board in India releases its result on this thing. So that's a kind of scalability or elasticity you need. Second thing, in government, you need, whenever you have any policy or you want to launch any service, you need to do it fast. You don't want to get into this procurement cycle of 1 month, 2 months, like Renu was saying. Sometimes it takes a year by the time you really put the whole infrastructure. So that kind of a time is not there. And e-governance is not only very straightforward. It needs a lot of political support. It needs a lot of, so the timing of the launch of application has to be right. A timing of application, and their infrastructure should not show you down. You should have infrastructure readily available to go. So that quick deployment is something where you just take it, is there. And thirdly, which I am a very strong believer, that once we provide this kind of an infrastructure where you at hardly any cost and without putting those nodes and nodes are able to take infrastructure for a month or 2 months, a lot of innovation we are going to see. into these e-governance where people will be able, supposing he's thought of an application, he wants to launch and see, let's say, 1 month, it is not possible. You have to put in whole project report, you have to take 10 approvals, you have to take funding here and there. And at the end, so it becomes a kind of a deterrent for many. But if you have a place where you can hire infrastructure from a government setup, let's say for a month, and just do this experiment, there will be a whole lot of experiments here. And this is what is e-governance. E-governance in this country, we cannot copy from any country. We are a unique country, we are such a large democracy, and we have whole lot of, I should not say complications, whole lot of challenges of language, literacy. So we have to have our own models of delivering e-governance service. And there we need innovation. We need innovation from industry, innovation from government. And for that, cloud really becomes a platform to enable that in a very beautiful manner. Renu has already talked in detail about the government coming up with GI cloud. So while Renu and her team are basically figuring out and trying to give these documents to us, so we thought as a preamble to this, let us, as I said, cloud is not only technology, there is a whole lot of ecosystem around it which needs to be ready to use these things. So as a preamble to that, we have begun a kind of a cloud project in discussion with Renu also in one of our data centers. The understanding was, the basic genesis was there was a need, there was a demand for cloud services, and also we also need to gain an experience then when you run a cloud which is countrywide, what kind of challenges or what kind of various issues will come across. What is the best way? Governance is an issue. The whole framework of delivering services is an issue. So early on, if we gain experience, that can be given feedback to the policy, and that's how we evolve. So early this year, we had actually set up, and this is our data centers, and how it also will help, because we as NIC are having national data centers and some small state setups, and also associated with state data centers. So practically, if you look at it, 90 to 95% of government presence on the web, which is state governments, central governments, or even district administration, or even today panchayats. Their websites, their portals are being hosted in our data centers. Quite a few major e-governance applications under any GP or otherwise are also being delivered through our data centers. So we have a unique situation of touch base with a large units of government who are getting into these ambitions. So we thought, if at this time we start offering cloud services, we'll be able to connect with these people, and we'll be able to get feedback, the kind of requirements we will have in our country when we implement cloud, and the kind of challenges we may have in our setup. So we had recently set up a large data center at 60,000 square feet with 15,000 square feet of energized space. It's a green data center, environment friendly, and one of the largest government data center in India. This is just to give you a kind of the scale of this. This data center has a 6 megawatt substation dedicated to this particular service, completely monitored, and this data center is spread across 5 different levels. 2 levels below the ground and 3 levels above the ground. This has a capacity of 480 racks to be precise, which to our mind will be able to take, even as today's ICT infrastructure which is available, over 30,000 virtual machines we should be able to do. 2 petabyte of storage we already have, and today evening only I was coming, someone told me we need to procure more. We have already reaching 80% of its utilization. So that's the speed at which you sort of grow. So, and this data center today we have around 200. This is something we began sometime in January. I think we had approvals and all. So in last 3 months or whatever, we had 200 e-government projects which have moved to this cloud service. What we said, now any request which comes to us, we offer them cloud first, even if they have procured their hardware. Because they are mostly, our people are all government. So we say, don't worry, you have hardware, you give the hardware, we will subsume it into the cloud which we have, and then offer you better service than what your infrastructure would have given you. And that is how, we have a whole setup of group which does this counseling with each department, and to sort of influence upon them that why should you move to cloud instead of having, people will come with only, one server and trying to do a whole application. I said, what will you do with one application? It's something as if, without any virtualization. So when we try explaining, then it has been very positive, though there is a team which works around it. We have 2,000 virtual machines already carved on it. And as of today, we are basically offering infrastructure and platform as a service. It has a self-service portal in a limited fashion. And though it has a self-service portal, but so far when we are dealing with these government departments, just trying to tell experience, mostly they still are not really very keen to take management to themselves. They would like still to be managed by a set of people who are maybe the admins, which we already had, or maybe if they have some IT agency, which is their partner implementation of the product. That is how it's been happening. There is always between the cloud and the end user, there has to be, at least if I see in some time to come, there has to be another agency, which is a middle level agency, or whom you call brokers or whatever, who will be helping you managing these self-service portals or doing it. So that's how it's working as of today. Another couple of months, we are planning to move it to a full-fledged cloud services. Maybe sometime early July is our target as of today. And wherein not only infrastructure and platform, we are trying, today we have around 6 to 7 platforms we offer, but we planning to scale it to some 20-25 different platforms which we'll be offering as a platform as a service. And very closely working with the people who have developed softwares and people who are getting into ops days to find out which are the applications which are ready and perhaps can be immediately launched as software as a service. Virtual desktop is in huge demand. So in a limited way, we will, maybe a beta of this we'll launch in July. We are trying to customize, looking at these experiences of our users where they really find this interfaces which come from the commercial softwares and interfaces a little tough and challenging to really interface with them. So we are trying to customize using the SDKs provided by those people and closely working with the solution providers or with those agencies who are owning this virtualized or cloud solution to come up with highly customized solution. There are two reasons for this. We need much simpler interface. Second is that we have, being government, we have a whole lot of security requirements. One has to go through a number of audits and processes. And we had to integrate those processes also into. We didn't want to give them 7 different platforms, go to this URL, and do. So we're trying to get everything together at one place so that at single interface they'll be able to get service. So that's something we're trying to do. And generally when, see, as an IC, we're a part of government, and when we're trying to give them services, it generally comes to us as a budget from our department. We often are not charging them for doing these services. But what we have felt now, though we are not charging, but let's at least bring, because see, with even servers, it was a kind of a thing, but when we give virtual machines, and that too I give it to you without any cost, there is a fear, or there is a single large amount of these virtual machines may lie underutilized or things. So we thought, let's introduce a concept of notional costing. We will, because now we have a software through which it's very easily I'll be able to handle this. So at least indicate to each user that this is the amount of cost, what cost services I'm offering it to. So that's a kind of a new thing we'll start, just to make everyone aware, and also give us also a good picture that, you know, when we are investing into all this infrastructure, how well it is being utilized. In the last 4 months or so, though we initiated cloud now, but in terms of virtual machines and VMs and all those things, we have been doing for almost a year and a half now. So there's a lot of experience that time, which now we moved to cloud and gave it to self-service kind of a mode. Our experience with these departments, with 200 odd projects which we have migrated in the last 3 months or so, has been that as far as private cloud is concerned, our government departments are pretty ready. I have never seen any kind of a resistance coming as long as you're able to work with, you have an advocacy team who works with them, impresses upon them what kind of positives you have from this kind of question, they are pretty ready. But what is perhaps needed and what is important is the person who's providing these services, the data center service providers, the role what they play, the credibility of that organization and the trustworthiness is going to be very, very crucial. Very often, that is, when you are giving this application and he's telling you or she's telling you it's going to be in a cloud, there's a whole lot of trust factor into it. And this trust index of that particular organization has to be high who's trying to offer these services. Our key concerns have been, which in fact, while we were trying to discuss this project, where Secretary was also highlighted, one is in any case is interoperability. Because though we have teams who are working with Renu and all who are looking into open source stack solutions, and we are very positively looking into this, but as of today, for a production class kind of setups, we have a lot of these commercial solutions also. And being into government, it's perhaps not possible to be stuck to one vendor for a long time. So when you have this number of solutions coming from number of different agencies, how do you do interoperability? So this project, this is also, we already have 2 solution providers who are, across this we have spread these virtual machines. And we are very closely trying to see, in fact trying to extract, because very often when we talk to them, they have not really encountered these kind of questions. So it takes time, but I think it's learning for them, and it's more of an input to us. Wherein we're trying to see that to what in the present setup, while I know there are large number of initiatives. Today morning I had a webcast with some Cloud Innovation Council, and they told me that large number of inter-cloud protocols and things are being worked. But by the time they see light of the day, it will be some time. But till then, how do we really manage? So we are very closely trying to talk to both of these service providers, solution providers, and see how best can we integrate, or how best can we really interoperate between these 2 solutions. Which has, we still have to come to some kind of a conclusion. The study is still going on, but as of today, it's not that bad as it always looks. That interoperability is a huge issue. It's perhaps not that bad as it looks to me. Manageability. I feel manageability is the key how you're going to work into cloud. And manageability has to be addressed from 3 dimensions. You definitely need to have management softwares to help you manage when you have 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 virtual machines. You need to have some kind of a software to assist you doing this. But more to software, you need a skilled resources. You perhaps need much more skilled resources to really help you doing these kind of things, to help you manage these things more efficiently. And largely, you surely need some kind of a governance structure, some kind of a strict policy in place. Otherwise, management of this cloud tomorrow will become an issue. So that is something has to be addressed from the very beginning. Security is an issue, but I personally feel it's more of a configuration issue. It's how well you design your applications and how well you configure your infrastructures. The large amount of security basically gets determined from that setup, especially when we are into private cloud kind of a setup. Another thing which kind of has come to my notice while we were trying to do this, we've been always saying that cloud infrastructure, cloud is a cost-saving solution. But I'm trying to study it actually in the scientific manner. See, while it's a good this thing that one machine you'll be able to split into 10 machines and do virtualization, and then that's how you save costs. But actually speaking, when you divide them into 10 machines, there are a whole lot of other softwares which you got to invest into it, right from your virtualization software, your cloud management agent, your antivirus agents, your backup agents, your operations automation orchestration agents, and the whole lot of agents, and even the basic licensing of these softwares. There's still large number of software providers, the conventional database or OS providers, who have actually not yet tuned their costing to be friendly to this thing. So this is my fear, but I cannot, that overall cost, when you put all those things, because if it's a development kind of a station where you don't need to put all these monitoring agents and all, perhaps fine. But when you have production class setup where you need to put all those security, monitoring, management agents and make it a full, and then this disaster recovery again, the replication, all those things, cost increases significantly. I have given someone, and I have a team who's working on to actually study what is the overall cost we get and where is. But I have a very strong hunch that that's where industry has to look into it. You cannot have a cost per VM which is universal. When I am trying to do for a small setups of a VM which one CPU, two vCPU, and then if I have a VM which has, let's say, 20 vCPUs, you can't give me a same VM, every cost per VM the same way, because it actually sometimes becomes that it's not a viable, cost-effective solution for these small VMs. So perhaps there is a need for industry to look into it, at least two categories of costing, small VMs and big VMs, to make it really a cost-effective solution, the way we all have been perceiving cloud. And lastly, the service quality. Service quality is going to be an issue, and once you move on to cloud, people do not have their individual servers. Now they are largely dependent, they're completely dependent on the cloud service provider. So you as a cloud service provider, the responsibility goes by a factor of multiplication high, because now it's your responsibility to run their business. Any piece in the jigsaw puzzle, if goes wrong and the services go down and you're not able to bring him down, whatever, because we have seen practically, you keep planning for your DR and you keep planning for your BCP, but when it actually comes to DR and BCP, quite often you face a situation that this bolt was not fitted properly, or this bolt is missing, and the DR cannot happen. This is something which happens, as you practice, as you mature and new things. So that responsibility also to some extent comes to a cloud service provider, at least cautioning or at least doing this kind of a knowledge transfer with those people who are coming to your cloud, that this is what 10 things you need to do to finally. So when this team which I have set up within NIC, which I call Infrastructure Advisory Committee, so that team really goes through with these people and understands what is the requirement for your service to be up, and if something happens, what is your fallback, to what extent you need to do. So we need to really look at service quality, but service quality alone cannot happen. It has to be happening with the cooperation of all our users or government departments. So, but it has to be paid attention to. That's all for now. Thank you.